A sudden outbreak of a zombie virus swept through the entire city, leaving only a few survivors. The most terrifying part wasn't just the virus, it was the fact that all children born after the catastrophe were infected from birth. Was this the end of humanity? Our story begins in South City, with a boy named Mark who had been living in an isolated forest with his father since childhood. He had no friends and knew nothing of the outside world. His father rarely spoke and only taught Mark two things. 1. That the world beyond the forest was crawling with zombies, and 2. That the remaining humans had become more dangerous than the zombies themselves. During the day, his father would go out hunting, leaving Mark behind with a gun for protection. Mark's childhood passed in solitude, listening to music and reading his favorite book, though it was old and worn. He especially loved the part about a magical fairy. Mark had a mysterious M symbol on his hand since birth, which he believed was a magical sign, perhaps even the first letter of his name. One day, while wandering through the woods, Mark discovered a rusty camper van. He was scared someone might be inside and didn't approach. But curiosity got the better of him, and the next morning, under the pretense of fetching water, he returned. Quietly, he snuck inside. The van was clean, and there were even toys lying around. It was clear someone lived there. Suddenly, a shadow appeared in the darkness, and Mark froze with fear. But as the figure stepped closer, he realized it was just another child. The boy's friendly demeanor calmed Mark, and he offered his headphones as a gesture of peace. At first, the boy hesitated, but when he heard the music, he smiled. The two boys quickly became friends. The other boy's name was Mickey, and he was kind and gentle. Before leaving, Mickey gave Mark his favorite toy, without a second thought. On his way back, Mark sensed someone watching him. He tried to hide, but a woman armed with a gun stopped him. However, when she saw the toy in Mark's hand, her demeanor softened. She gently told him to return home quickly and even offered him some wild fruits. Mark realized she was Mickey's mother. Watching her hug her son made Mark feel a pang of jealousy. Back home, Mark hid the toy but forgot to fetch water, for which his father scolded him. In a sudden burst of emotion, he tried to hug his father, but his father pushed him away. Despite that, Mark began to visit Mickey's mother more often. Her warmth reminded him of the mother he never knew. One evening, during dinner, he finally mustered the courage to ask about his mother. But his father remained silent, and Mark didn't press further. Later that night, he secretly watched from the window as his father sat outside, watching an old video. The next morning, as his father left for hunting, Mark heard strange screams and gunshots. His father told him to hide and went out with his gun. Mark crawled into the bushes and saw Mickey's mother, wounded and sitting nearby. Moments later, his father approached and, without hesitation, shot her. Mark was horrified. He never imagined his father could be so cruel. Terrified, Mark ran home and pretended to sleep. His father returned, visibly disturbed, murmuring, "They're here." Mark acted as if nothing had happened, but curiosity gnawed at him. When his father fell asleep, he stole the video camera. In it, he saw footage of a happy family, his parents, and a girl who seemed to be his older sister. In the next clip, his mother looked frightened and said, "I love you," just before his father's angry voice cut in. One night, while his father slept, Mark tied him up, packed his bag, and quietly slipped away. He found Mickey quickly and begged him to come along. But Mickey refused. He still hoped his mother would return. Mark, unable to lie, told him the truth. Mickey didn't get angry. Instead, he hugged Mark tightly. For the first time, Mark felt the warmth of someone holding him out of love. The two boys started their journey together. But soon, Mark sensed danger. He had grown up in the wild and knew when something was wrong. He hid Mickey in the bushes just as a zombie appeared. They barely escaped and kept running until they found a broken-down car. They climbed in, hoping to rest, but were soon surrounded by a horde of zombies. Just when it seemed like the car would be flipped, gunshots rang out. One by one, the zombies fell. The car door opened, and there stood Mark's father. After realizing his son was missing, he had broken free and tracked Mark down using his hunting skills. He arrived just in time to save them. He picked Mark up and, relieved to find him unharmed, quickly began retreating with him. Mark begged to bring Mickey along. When his father refused, Mark yelled for the first time in his life. His father was stunned. But there was no time for words. Zombies were closing in. He hid the boys and fought off the undead with courage. Mark watched, realizing his father might not be as heartless as he'd thought. But then a zombie got too close to Mark. Trembling, he raised his tiny gun and fired. Hearing the shot, his father panicked and rushed back. He managed to kill the zombie that had bitten him, but he was already wounded. Mark saw the bite. His father sat beneath a tree, breathing heavily, and admitted that he had shot Mickey's mother because she was infected and would have turned. Mark asked about his own mother. His father replied, "She was an angel. Even the virus couldn't harm her. Soldiers took her away during the early outbreak." Mark finally understood, his father wasn't evil. He had just buried his love too deep. But now it was too late. The infection spread fast. In his final moments, his father told Mark to run. Just as Mark found Mickey again, a gunshot echoed from the hill. Mark knew his father was gone. The loss made him stronger. He had to find his mother. The two boys wandered through the forest and eventually stumbled upon the outskirts of a human settlement. One day, they found an old man resting by the railway tracks. They asked for food, and the man, upon hearing Mark was looking for the place where fairies lived, sighed deeply. He wanted to help, but couldn't. His own children had turned into zombies, and he'd locked them in cages rather than kill them. Seeing healthy children brought a sparkle to his eyes. Perhaps there was still hope. He bid them farewell, believing that these boys might hold the cure. Mark and Mickey followed the railway and found an abandoned train. Excited, they explored it, but soon discovered it full of zombies. They fled but were captured by two armed men and taken to a deserted factory. The boss, wearing glasses, was astonished to see two healthy boys. He decided to make Mickey a spiritual symbol of hope, but ordered Mark to be killed. One of the henchmen, moved by Mark's photo of his mother, secretly let him go. Loyal to his friend, Mark didn't flee alone. He waited until the others were asleep, sneaked into Mickey's room, and they escaped together. The next morning, the boss, realizing Mickey was gone, killed his own man in a fit of rage. Meanwhile, Mark found clean clothes in an old building. As he prepared to reunite with Mickey, he realized the boss was tracking him. Mickey was surrounded. Just as Mark feared for his life, a drone appeared, raining bullets and wiping out the enemies. Soldiers emerged from a safe zone nearby. Mark was about to approach them when Mickey shook his head, warning him. A soldier neared Mark's hiding spot. At the last second, Mickey grabbed a gun and drew attention to himself, sacrificing his life to save Mark. Mark collapsed in grief. He had lost his only friend. He remembered his father's warning. The surviving humans were more dangerous than the zombies. There were no fairylands. No kind fairy to save him. In anger, he ripped apart his dream book. His only goal now was to find his mother. He wandered into a ruined city, now a haunted grave of civilization. Overcoming every fear, he finally reached the place from the photo. Inside a sunlit room, he saw a woman standing by the window. She looked just like his mother. Unable to hold back, he approached and hugged her, only to be bitten. She was a zombie. Devastated, he locked the glass door and cried his heart out. Then, he heard a voice broadcasting from another building. It blamed refugees for the downfall of the camp. The noise attracted more zombies, but Mark didn't care. He put on his headphones and prayed, unaware of the gunfire around him. As he turned, laser dots appeared on his body. Soldiers were here again. One female soldier saw the M mark on his hand and screamed, "He has the sign." She pulled off her mask and took Mark to safety. The film never fully explained the meaning of the mark, but it was implied that those with the sign were immune. Mark was special all along, not because of powers, but because of his resilience. This wasn't just a zombie movie, it was the emotional journey of a boy who lost everything but still held on to hope.